Good evening. I'm Scott Manzi, voice of the JU Dolphins. Jacksonville University Athletics has a unique history featuring tradition with a runner-up finish in the 1970 Final Four, success with 47 conference championships in the last decade alone, and legacy, sending former Dolphins to the professional ranks in football, basketball, baseball, golf, soccer, and lacrosse. But now a new set of athletes and coaches are tasked with continuing the athletic prosperity the Dolphin faithful have grown accustomed to over the years. We dive into the stories behind the athletes, coaches, and teams starting tonight. Welcome to JU Dolphins Up Close. One of the points of pride of Jacksonville University Athletics is the diverse group that make up the student-athlete population. Members of the athletic community, whether teammates, coaches, or staffers, are able to not only educate the foreign student-athletes on American culture, but are able to learn a lot through what those that hail from outside the United States have experienced as well. A prime example of this took place this summer when the World Cup was in Brazil and many athletes and coaches returned to their home countries to take part in the world phenomenon.
The World Cup is arguably the biggest sporting event in the world. Junior volleyball player Gabby Nieto was back home in Guadalajara, Mexico, and said the excitement was palpable.
The energy was so good, everybody was waiting for the World Cup to start, counting the days.
Senior volleyball player Maya Prestes is from Porto Alegre, one of the cities that hosted World Cup matches.
Yeah, we had 4 games from the World Cup in my city. It was amazing. That was like a great experience. I'm a big fan of soccer and I was so excited. See my city, a small city in Brazil with so many people, so many different cultures. It was a good experience.
Everybody is still working and still doing what they do to watch the game.
Well, Argentina is a very huge soccer country, so as we follow the World Cup very close each year. Mostly this year, that is day we made it to the finals. The last time we made it to the semifinals was 24 years in 1990 in the Italy World Cup. So even though the Argentina people wasn't expecting too much from the national team, it was such a party.
It was crazy. It was, since the first game, the 3-1, everybody was like, okay, this is possible, and everybody just started being more and more positive about it.
Here in America, people had watch parties and crowded into bars for matches all throughout the month of June. But how did those in other countries watch?
I couldn't go to the games, so my option was just went downtown to the bars, enjoy friends and family. That was my choice to watch the game. Every time Brazil or another team made a goal, everyone's like, yeah! Yeah, I'm really excited.
I get really nervous, especially because it's national team. So I just invite all my friends and we had a huge party for the game, before and after. And since we had excellent results, after the game, it's a tradition to go to certain place. So since Costa Rica is very small, there's this place where people go and celebrate, and it was just way too crazy. Everybody just turned up and everybody went to celebrate.
Men's soccer head coach Mauricio Ruiz had the unique experience where he was not only able to return to his home country, but also attend a match while he was there.
So I got to watch one match live. As you can imagine, tickets weren't as easy to come by, even if you're from Brazil. But I got to be there for 2.5 weeks. So I got to watch quite a bit of games at different locations, at parties or at bars or at the Fan Fest, but physically only to one game.
There were some special moments during the month-long tournament, maybe none bigger than the 6-save masterpiece by Mexican goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa against World Cup favorites Brazil.
Everybody was like, oh, my Ochoa is the best and everything, and doing so much in store for him. It was so amazing, the job that he did. Everybody feel thanks to him, we got that result in that game.
At the other end of the spectrum, host country Brazil lost in one of the most lopsided matches in World Cup history to eventual champions Germany in the semifinals.
That was pretty sad. Was hurtful. We kind of knew. I was expecting not win the World Cup. I'm being honest right now, but it was hurtful with Neymar. He's the best player. He was out, and 7-1. That was pretty bad. You know, for World Cup, that was bad.
Kind of had a feeling that something was going to break, and he just hoped that he didn't break before the final. He hoped that maybe if they reached the final, the emotion of the country would carry them over. But they weren't playing well, the entire World Cup. I mean, I think they had glimpses of moments here and there. A 7-0 defeat. I mean, that's one of those things that will probably never happen in World Cup history, even less against the host team, against Brazil. So it was one of those things where the worlds kind of collided and everything worked perfectly for Germany, deservingly so, and everything that could have gone wrong for Brazil went.
There were plenty of moments to celebrate for all involved, especially for underdog Costa Rica and tournament runner-up Argentina.
My favorite was against Greece, the PK, the last one. Oh my God, I cried.
When we defeated the Netherlands, it was a huge party because, as I said before, I mean, Argentina, we weren't expecting so much for the Argentinian national team, even though we have some of the best soccer players in the world.
The World Cup lived up to its moniker as the diversity of the crowds did not go unnoticed by those in Brazil.
I saw so many Australians from China, Japan, Russia, everyone was there. And I was happy because I could speak English down there. So many friends, they're like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, I cannot communicate. And I was just, yeah, I got this.
Just walking in the streets of Brazil, and I was in São Paulo and Rio. It was a congregation of people from different countries and young kids, older women, men. I mean, it was pretty much like the State of Union, the United Nations, all coming together into one for soccer, which for me, as a soccer professional, it was like a perfect storm almost.
The World Cup affected even those who did not attend, especially the soccer teams on campus. The JU women's team was still abuzz when they returned to school for preseason workouts.
A lot of stories about where were you when the U.S. played in the round of 16? Did you go to somewhere for the opening game? We went here, we went there, we got together. So even though we weren't together, like you mentioned, because it was during the summer, we still heard a lot of stories about where people got to go and where they got to watch games and how much they enjoyed seeing just all the excitement that was going on with the games on TV.
The men's soccer team was instructed to use the World Cup as a chance to learn.
As a coach, you try to educate yourself as much as possible. And you saw the writing on the wall that Brazil was playing without much of an organization, but with a lot of skills. So for me as a coach, it's a great sticking point to the players now that they have to follow instruction, and we have to be tactically sound and organized. That's not good enough to just be good enough.
The best thing that Costa Rica had during this World Cup was definitely the teamwork. So by you just seeing the way everybody plays together and work for each other, it's just amazing. So it's just definitely something we can catch on.
What we did is ask questions throughout the World Cup. I asked my players if they could write a review on a team that they liked, on a player that they liked, what did they like about it, what they didn't like about it. And going back and reading those paragraphs that the players wrote, pretty well educated ideas actually. So it allowed them to think a little bit about the World Cup, think about the way different teams were playing. I think that's probably the nicest thing that I saw, that nobody was closed-minded. You have 32 different countries playing 32 different styles.
Coaches, players, and fans have noticed that the crowds at Southern Oak Stadium still have World Cup fever.
In the games that I came to, have a good crowd. Many people go to the games.
I think it's pretty good. I don't know if it's because the coach is from Brazil, but I see a lot of energy down there when I went to the game. They're playing really hard and they're celebrating a lot.
There's a better educated, younger crowd, which are the kids that are coming to games.
Definitely. I think we've had a lot of great crowds. Typically Friday night's the best night for crowds for college soccer, and we've had a handful of Friday night games already, and every Friday night game the stands have been packed. It's been a great home crowd, great support, and you can kind of just feel the energy, and I tell our team that all the time. Feed off the energy that our fans bring us. They're here to support us, they're cheering for you, they're urging you on. They want to see good soccer, they want to see great goals, they want to see us win. So let's give them what they want and come out with that kind of energy and passion that you see on the national level when it's the world. But let's bring that same passion and energy to our team. We even heard some of the more educated soccer fans at our last home game, they're yelling some phrases you don't hear unless you're watching games on TV. Probably watching an English game or hearing an English commentator talk about a certain coach there, and some of the same phrases they're yelling at us and yelling at the players and the coaches and having a good time supporting us in a game that we won on a Friday night here.
I think it's definitely better, maybe because of the World Cup.
I mean, since we're in the U.S. and the U.S. had a pretty decent World Cup, I think they're excited for it. And we have games with huge crowds, not huge, but like big crowds. But yeah, I mean, the World Cup was just this summer, and people are just like, oh, soccer, you know, soccer's good, soccer's, so they just come out and watch. So yeah, definitely there's been bigger crowds and then more interest in the sport.
You know, when they redid the stadium here, Southern Oaks Stadium now, the fans are we're almost on top of the field here. If you're on the front row, you can see the line right almost below your feet there, and that's close to the field. You can't get much closer to the field than our stands are. So the fans, the closer they are, the more engaged they are, the more a part of the game they feel like. And I think that's a great benefit for us because now fans are engaged. Fans want to be a part of it. We even have, you know, the seating behind the goals. A lot of the guys like to come there. They like to yell. They like to have a good time. Like to support our team. Sometimes yell at the other team. You know, be a typical home fan, and they bring a great atmosphere to it. And that's great to be this close to the field because you can kind of feel the energy from the game. You can feel the excitement. When you're a lot further away, you don't have that. So I definitely think as close as we are to the field, it brings some energy to it.
Last weekend was homecoming at JU, and no one was more popular than the hardest working mascot in collegiate athletics, Duncan the Dolphin. Not many people can claim to have played a sport at the college level, and even fewer can say they've played two. Colin Monagle is taking the local golf community by storm, but it's a tale that almost never began thanks to his love of hitting a different white ball.
Colin Monagle is now a senior golfer at JU. 4 years ago, he appeared to be taking a much different path in collegiate athletics. Monagle, a two-sport star at Bishop Kenny High School, decided to pursue baseball at the next level and got a dream offer to play at the same school that both his parents attended and starred.
I had committed to go to a community college down in Orlando, and then I was 2 weeks before school started, I was playing a game out here, and TA called me into his office and was like, hey, you know, we just had our second baseman leave, so we got a spot open. It's yours if you want it. And signed me up right there.
We brought Colin in, basically being a local Jacksonville kid, as a kind of a recruited walk-on. Middle infielder, played corner for us also. Just a grinder, a kid with a great attitude, was phenomenal in the classroom, and just a kid that you wanted to have, you know, be part of the club because he was going to make everybody around you better.
The presence of one of his high school teammates on the team, Jimmy Howick, made the decision even easier.
Yeah, I mean, I was in high school. I was a sophomore when he was a senior. We won that state title, and he was always big. Like, he was a good role model for me to look up to. And I remember my whole junior year looking at him like, you know, he walked in and he started right away. You know, he got the job and he got a chance, and I knew that when TA said, hey, if you come in, you perform, like, you can have a chance to play. So I knew when I came here and having that relationship with him that there was a chance here.
With his decision to focus on baseball full-time, Monagle figured that would be the end of his competitive golf career.
When I first started playing baseball and kind of doing that full-time, I mean, I thought golf was done. I mean, I thought I might play it, you know, when I got done, when I got older or something like that, but I never thought that I'd play here 2 years and then say, oh, I'll go play golf for a little while again.
It's funny how even the best laid plans don't always come to fruition. For Monagle, golf as a leisure activity wasn't meant to be.
I was playing and it was over Christmas break and I was playing with a couple of guys on the baseball team, a couple of pitchers. We were out playing golf. I ended up playing and shooting a decent round. I think it was a couple under or something like that. And a couple of pitchers ended up looking at me like, hey, what are you doing? Like, let's, maybe you should go do that.
Did he then consider trying to play both sports so as not to give up baseball?
No. Yeah, there's not enough hours in the day to try to do that.
There were several factors that contributed to Monagle considering the sport change, such as playing time and coaches' support.
I'd put a lot into it, going after Christmas break in the fall and going into the season. I was like, you know, I felt like after that summer ball and past that fall, like I had gotten to my athletic potential.
I always used to kid him, you know, that he couldn't run out of sight, but you know, he was a guy that got the most out of his ability.
I didn't see where, with the circumstances, the guys that we had here, that I was going to be able to be an everyday guy. I knew I could be the guy that played, you know, 1 day out of the week, 2 days, maybe 3 days out of the week, but I didn't see where I was going to be the, you know, the 60-game starter. And I think with golf, I was kind of looking at that as, you know, I could be an everyday guy over there.
He felt comfortable talking with me, and you know, I completely understood. You know, I can remember watching him the first time he was goofing around with a golf club, you know, out across the street, and I was like, man, that's a pretty good-looking swing, you know. And then I found out from a lot of the players that he could really play. And so when it came to the end of the season, you know, end of the year meetings, he came in and we talked about it, and you know, I just thought it would be a better situation for him where he could really enjoy and flourish and do something that he really, really loves to do. Not that he didn't love baseball, but you know, it looks like it's been the right decision.
Still, it wasn't as simple as wanting to play that would get Monagle on the golf team. He had to prove to head coach Mike Blackburn that he deserved it.
The first time I looked at him, he kind of looked at me like, why are you in my office type thing? And I told him, I was like, you know, these are some of the tournaments I played in. He was like, all right, come on, I'll give you a 4-day tryout. You break 300, you're on the team. And he's like, well, what are you doing this summer? And I was like, well, I'm going to play in a couple of these tournaments. And he gave me a call after, I think it was about the 3rd tournament. He goes, yeah, I think you've proven that you can shoot the scores. I'm going to go ahead and give you a spot for this year.
Summer tournaments were and still are a big part of the learning process.
I didn't think there was any way I could just walk on the golf team and just play right away without having any kind of tournament experience in the last 4 years. I had a couple of them. I actually finished, I think, 3rd in the first tournament back, which that was kind of cool. I think, you know, I think I ended up shooting like 32 on the back 9 the last day to shoot under par for 18 holes, which was kind of cool. I would say that at times it felt like I just jumped back into it right away, but then there were other times where, you know, I would make a couple bogeys or something like that, and I would react more as a baseball player, as like trying to get fired up, you know, correct the mistake right away, as opposed to just kind of letting things come to me. I think that part of it took probably, you know, a year or two to really fully get back into that.
Now that he's back to playing every day, Monagle feels his golf game is the best it's ever been.
It's close. I think it's really close to getting good. Really good. You know, I've started getting to where I can chip it and putt it with anybody else that I play with. I always hit it really well and drove it really well, but now the smaller inside of 100 yards has really come along in the last year and a half.
While being the unquestioned leader of the team, he still takes a humble approach to his role.
Go out and shoot some low scores, you know, help out when I can, you know. If there's a younger guy, you know, try to help him out, coach him along a little bit, need some help. Other than that, just kind of get some work in, try to get some low scores in for the team.
Monagle has been tremendous in the summer tournaments he has played in, winning the 2013 Jacksonville Area Amateur Championship and the 2014 Gate Invitational, all of which have helped raise the profile of JU golf.
I think it helps because, first off, it gives me confidence, and also helps a couple other guys on the team. Like, you know, I play with him every day. You know, if he can do it, I can do it. From the standpoint of the kids on the team, I mean, I think it motivates them a little bit. And it also it gives exposure to the school, because there's a couple guys that played in those tournaments that are juniors and seniors in college. college right now, and they would look at it as, you know, I don't really know where JU is. I know where it is, and you know, I'm from here, but I don't know anything about the golf program. And I think that kind of opened their eyes, potentially coming to JU to try to play for us.
Does he desire to follow in the footsteps of fellow JU golfer Russell Knox?
If I have a good year this year, maybe I'll get some sponsors to kind of help me out with that. You know, I'll start out a little bit higher, but you know, I'll probably have to, you know, finish out this year and, you know, start out on like maybe the Hooters tour, or like some other smaller tours, and just work my way up. It
may have been a unique route, but there are no regrets with the path he took.
I think he wanted to give it a shot, so he felt like at the end of the day, you know, that he knows that he left no stone unturned, and that he was able to, you know, at least give college baseball a try, and not look back and say, man, I wish I would have gave it a try.
When I was younger, I liked playing baseball a lot more than I like playing golf. Just I like the team atmosphere a little bit more, but in college, you get that team atmosphere with golf. So kind of looking at it, I was glad I went the route I did.
That'll do it on this edition of JU Dolphins Up Close. Until next time, I'm Voice of the Dolphins, Scott Manzi. Have a great night.